Every time you're stressed, your adrenal glands above the kidneys release adrenaline and cortisol. And as a result, glucose, your primary source of energy, is released into the bloodstream. So unconsciously, we begin to get these cravings that are very specific and not healthy. And so we end up having these cravings for sugar-like treats and fatty foods because this is what our body begins to do. All of this is done to give you the energy you need to escape from a risky situation. It's the survival mode I was referring to earlier, to where our body's involuntary reactions go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. Welcome to the Life is a Healing Journey podcast by yours truly, Anuschka, with a C. This podcast explores how you can create a true healthy lifestyle and live your life to the fullest in the face of any circumstance by healing and balancing your mind, body, spirit. If you are someone that's been dealing with disharmony in any area of your life and you are committed to seeking harmony, this podcast is for you. Let's start healing. Today's podcast is focused on the body piece of mind, body, spirit. Many people think stress is only a mental thing. Like when you're thinking about too many things or stressing about the future or the past or anything thought related, really. But our bodies can also go through stress even when our minds are at peace. An example of this is when, for instance, you're working out intensely or you're pushing your body to the point where it feels like you're overdoing it. Even though you might mentally be feeling great and happy and all good, your body is going under stress because cortisol is released when we're doing those vigorous activities and workouts over a long period of time. Our bodies also go under stress when we're on a ton of medication, such as chemo, for instance, or other medications as well. I remember when I was on chemo, even though mentally I was in a really good place and really at peace and present, but because of the stress my body was under from chemo, the tiniest little thing would upset me, and it would actually cause my stomach to have these really sharp pains. It would be the smallest thing that when I think about it now, I just can't believe it. It would literally be one thought and boom, my body would react. Even too much caffeine will put the body under stress because of the release of cortisol, which is why both caffeine and strenuous activities and workouts can prevent pregnancy. This is something I've learned in the last couple of years now since we've been working on conceiving since 2020. I don't use the word trying to conceive because I don't really care for the word trying. It sounds strange. So I prefer to say working on conceiving. Through this fertility journey, I've learned that too much cortisol puts body in survival mode. And stress can have a negative impact on our bodies when we are in stress mode for too long due to the high levels of cortisol. Every time you're stressed, your adrenal glands above the kidneys release adrenaline and cortisol. And as a result, glucose, your primary source of energy, is released into the bloodstream. So unconsciously, we begin to get these cravings that are very specific and not healthy. And so we end up having these cravings for sugar-like treats and fatty foods because this is what our body begins to do. All of this is done to give you the energy you need to escape from a risky situation. It's the survival mode I was referring to earlier, to where our body's involuntary reactions go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. When we are in stress mode, we have, as I said, these sugar cravings to supply our body with this quick energy it needs. Now, the downside is when we consume so much sugar, the body begins to store this sugar. That's what the body tends to do, especially after a stressful situation. This energy is stored mainly in the form of abdominal fat, which can be particularly hard to shed and is considered sticky fat for a reason. And so this vicious cycle starts where we get stressed release cortisol, gain weight, crave more sugar, eat more sugar, gain more weight. Even if you aren't eating foods that are high in fat and sugar, cortisol is also known to slow down metabolism, making it difficult to lose weight. This is the science of stress and the impact stress has on our body. To go even deeper in the science of stress, your autonomic nervous system is the part of your nervous system that controls involuntary actions, such as the beating of your heart and the widening or narrowing of your blood vessels, breathing. All these are controlled by the autonomic nervous system, ANS. ANS is composed of two distinct parts, the sympathetic nervous system, SNS, and the parasympathetic nervous system, PNS. SNS is involved in preparing the body for stress-related activities. PNS, on the other hand, is associated with returning the body to routine day-to-day operations. The two systems have complementary functions operating in tandem to maintain the body's homeostasis. As an example, when we are in fear mode, the body goes into survival mode, and the sympathetic nervous system gets activated involuntarily. The body's blood rushes down to the legs and arms, delivering more oxygen to the body, preparing for fight, flight, or freeze. And the human growth hormone stops releasing, replaced by cortisol and adrenaline. And the immune system shuts down. So your cells stop from growing and repairing. Do you think any healing or repairing happens when you're in survival mode? No, right? Think of a deer grazing on grass, then suddenly spots a lion. What does a deer do? Runs for life. Even if that deer has some kind of a cut or wound or is feeling sick, all of that is ignored when SNS is activated in order for the deer to stay alive. Because if it gets caught and eaten, who cares about that smaller wound, right? He's gone. She's gone. Now, the difference between us humans and animals is that a deer gets away from the lion and just shakes it off, goes out of survival mode, and next thing you know, back to grazing on grass as if nothing happened, going back to being present in that present moment. As humans, on the other hand, we have the ability to think of past or future events. And by doing so, we immediately signal our SNS, even though we're not even being chased by a lion or a saber-toothed tiger or zombie or anything. Just by sitting on your couch, you all of a sudden will create this involuntary sympathetic nervous system to be activated. And this is horrible for your body. I notice when my body is in stress mode, I have a decrease of saliva in my mouth. No matter how much water I drink, I feel like it's not enough. It's like I am chewing on cotton. I also feel this area around my solar plexus, right underneath where my rib cage is, when they connect, it gets completely contracted. And sometimes it even has a sensation where it feels painful. And I can feel my heartbeat there. Sometimes I've even seen my heartbeat pulsing in that area just by looking at it. It just pulses just with my heart rate. My heart rate also ends up going faster and my breath is much shorter. And these are just a few signs I've noticed for myself to be aware so that I can catch myself and stop everything that I'm doing as soon as possible in order to activate PNS by shifting gears or taking a break or doing some breath work. This is essential for our health to really be aware when SNS is activated and to catch it as quickly as possible. PNS fixes the damages SNS does to the body. It's why you'll see when you've gone through surgery of any kind, you need tons more sleep to repair those cells and heal the body. It's also why when you're more stressed out or have done a vigorous activity or workout, a nap tends to make all the difference. So don't fight your body when you sense you're tired. It's your body's way of communicating to you to take a break. Maybe to just take some deep breaths or close your eyes for a few moments. Ideally, maybe take a power nap even, which is something I'm working on myself. Otherwise, when we ignore and continue to push through, these whispers begin to get louder and can cause problems when in stress mode for too long, including blood pressure problems, digestive issues, insomnia, or you might even see yourself catching a cold or other diseases very quickly. And over a long period of time, it can get even worse if not attended to. Our breath is also regulated by the autonomic nervous system, as I mentioned. Inhaling oxygen is an unconscious process, thankfully, right? It's unconscious. Otherwise, can you imagine thinking about breathing? The amount of oxygen that we inhale through our breath influences the amount of energy that is released into our body's cells. Obviously, breathing is the easiest and most instrumental part of the autonomic nervous system. The way you breathe strongly affects the chemical and physiological activities in your body. I've noticed some people breathe from their mouth, and I cannot imagine being that way or doing that. Of course, I get it because there are those that have a deviated septum, so it makes it hard to breathe clearly from their nostrils. I know for myself, when I have a cold and I'm stuffy, it drives me absolutely crazy to breathe from my mouth. And I feel like I'm not getting enough oxygen, which actually has been shown that those that breathe from their mouth do not get as much oxygen and probably even have a faster breathing rate to compensate for that. If this is you, I highly recommend getting your nose checked out and seeing what you can do about that to breathe clearly from your nose. It makes a huge difference in your well-being. This can also potentially reduce the length of your life when you breathe from the mouth rather than the nose due to the amount of oxygen you're getting. When you have those longer, deep breaths, it impacts your ANS. When SNS is activated, you have shorter breaths. So to get out of that mode, simply begin taking long, deep breaths. Even 10 long, deep breaths can slow down your heart rate and relax you, activating the parasympathetic nervous system, PNS. If you haven't heard of Wim Hof, I highly recommend looking him up. He has developed special breathing exercises of all kinds and teaches how you can keep your body in optimal condition and be in complete control just using your breath. And in some cases, the most extreme conditions, like freezing cold temperatures. He is also known as the Iceman. And when I first heard of him years ago, that's how I knew him as Iceman. Nowadays, he's more so known by his actual name, Wim Hof. And he's actually the reason cold plunges became so popular. He's been doing them since he was 17, and he's 64 now. This is a long time of cold plunges. Wim Hof guides others to control their heart rate just with their breath. It's absolutely fascinating what we can do with our breath. And it blows my mind the effects that our breath alone can have on our body. In addition to the calming breath work, of course, I have used other breathing exercises as well. I remember using the one for running, and it made such a significant difference in my endurance. It allowed me to really run for much longer, where I would take long, deep breaths in through my nose and then super short exhales, all while I was running. And it extended my running capacity. Another one I used was to increase stem cell production and boost my immune system. These are all Wim Hof exercises. I remember following his guided breathing technique to the point of holding my breath for a minute at first when I started. And I got to 2 minutes, around 2 minutes, I believe, of holding my breath. I could not believe this was possible until I actually did it myself. It's actually the reason I did it, because I was in disbelief that I could actually hold my breath for that long. Now, what happened when I held my breath for that long, all these needle-like sensations were spread throughout my entire body. From what I understood, that was stem cells being produced. There are all kinds of different special breathing exercises, as I mentioned, that he guides and teaches. Now, these two that I just described do not activate PNS, so I just want to give you ideas of what's possible with your breath. Of course, there are all kinds of guided breathing techniques and breathwork coaches out there even that support you in activating PNS using your breath. You would think, but why? It's just breathing. Many people do breathwork incorrectly, and that's the reason. And have no awareness because it's just breathing, right? It's something we were born to do automatically, involuntarily. If you're anything like I was, I used to tighten my core, and I still do. I used to tighten my core throughout the entire day. It's just something I have done since I don't even remember middle school or high school, and continue to do it majority of the time, just to strengthen the core. However, while doing breath work or tuning into your body and intuition, it is essential to let loose and allow your body to fully be relaxed. Tightening your core will get in the way of doing these deep breathing exercises and really breathing deep into your belly. And as crazy as it sounds, another thing that I used to do incorrectly, I used to actually deflate my belly when breathing in. So I would take a deep breath in, but I would deflate my belly, and then I would inflate my belly when I was breathing out, which is the exact opposite, right? Young self of mine was super clueless. Now I know. And that's why I share about this, because it's all these little things that we're not even aware of. I wasn't, right? Now, what I do is take a deep breath in through my nose, counting to 6 or 8, however long you can do it, expanding my belly fully like a big balloon while breathing in, fully deep down all the way to the bottom of your belly button. And then hold that breath for a few seconds longer than the inhale, as much as you possibly can. And then exhale very slowly from the mouth, counting to 10 or more seconds, completely deflating that belly like a balloon, leaving absolutely no air to remain, all the way until there's no more left. And even then, doing one more exhale out. And then repeating this, breathing in, filling your body with all the love and positive vibes, hold, and then exhaling out, releasing all the negative vibes and everything that no longer serves you out your body. Think about it like smelling flowers, how you would smell a flower and then blowing out candles, but slowly out the mouth. When stressed, the best thing you can do for yourself is to breathe, to get out of your mind. Breath work will bring peace to any situation when you step away, taking a 5 to 10 minute break to just breathe intentionally with counting those breaths. Because when you focus on the count, there is no more thought. This will have you relax by slowing down the heart rate and shifting the brain waves with your breath. Breath work tells your body all is well by signaling the PNS, which then reduces cortisol levels in your body and bringing down your stress levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And now for the practice area to integrate into your life. Begin having more awareness of your body's reactions. And next time you catch yourself in stress mode, stop everything you're doing and take a break for breath work. Ideally, it's best to go somewhere quiet, get comfortable, close your eyes, and just breathe. Focus on that breath, 1 second at a time, just like I demoed. Or find your own guided breath work that resonates with you. They are everywhere. YouTube, apps, you name it. You can start with 5 deep breaths and work your way up to 10 breaths or more. And you will notice it calming you down really quickly. You can also chant a mantra while doing the breath work. Anything that resonates with you. I am healthy. I am healed, loved, abundant, amazing. Fill in the blank. Or whatever other mantra or affirmation that you see fit. Subscribe to not miss next week's episode focused on the body. Thank you for listening to Life is a Healing Journey podcast. You are here to peel and heal one layer at a time, to live your life to the fullest in the face of any circumstance, while embracing a life filled with love, joy, and peace. If you are in disharmony in any area of your life and truly desire to be in harmony and committed to elevating your health and well-being, I'm one click away. Find me at healingwithanuschka.com. And remember, that's Anuschka with a C. And if you like what you heard, please subscribe. and share this podcast with your loved ones. Get your healing on. Until next time.